If you're always offended when you're corrected, you will never grow in life. Growth requires honesty, and sometimes honesty hurts. But if your ego is louder than your willingness to learn, you will keep repeating the same cycles, expecting different results. Correction is not an attack, it's a mirror. It's an opportunity to improve, to evolve, to elevate. And you see, the people who truly care about you will check you because they want to see you win. And if you get offended every time someone holds you accountable, you are choosing pride over progress. And pride will cost you opportunities that humility could have unlocked. Genuine growth starts when you stop defending your limitations and start developing your character.
Welcome back. Thanks for coming back, guys. Thanks for tuning in and watching the show and liking and subscribing and telling people about it. Still a few subscribers short of going live on YouTube, so if you guys can tell some people about it, just get them to subscribe, check it out, give us a chance. We're an open show for everybody. We talk about a lot of things. Today we're going to talk about the ego. I think that's kind of a good transition from where we were yesterday talking about Epstein. I think ego might be what leads some of these people to do what they do. Just the idea that they have to be the most powerful or the richest person, or, you don't want people looking down on you, or you want to make sure that you have this in life, or make sure that you have the fastest car or the most beautiful girl or the biggest house. That's your ego. We have two versions of us, and that's ourself and our ego. And most of the world, they live in their ego. They don't even know who their self is. We live based on what we see and what we've been told our whole life. So when we're constantly shown big houses and fancy cars and all this, of course, that's what people aspire to. But that works the same way. When you're constantly listening to bad music and watching bad things on TV, it intrudes in your brain. It's the same way. Your ego works the same way. Your ego is like that person that tells you that you want your boss to tell you you're doing a good job, even though you're doing a good job. So why the fuck do you need somebody to tell you you're doing a good job when you know that you're doing one? The ego is it's a dangerous thing because it gives us overconfidence, makes us feel like we don't need things in life. And sometimes when people are trying to give us advice, we don't take it because we think we're better off without their advice, or that we know better, and that's your ego. That ego costs people lots of things. Pride and ego will cost people relationships and friendships and family, because people are too prideful or too egotistical to say they were wrong, or say that they're sorry, or to sit down and talk with somebody about it, because their ego is so big that they're tougher than that person, or they can get louder than that person, So it's a slippery slope when you don't have control of your ego and your thoughts, and that's what we'll get into today.
In every single one of us, every human being out there, there are two of us. There's two people. The first person in each person is called the ego, or I call it the ego. E-G-O. Earth guide only. All right? This is the part of us that says who I am is separate from you, separate from God, separate from my environment, and therefore I'm in competition with, and my value is based upon how much I get, how much my stuff is worth, how much more money I might have, the value of my possessions, and so on. What is mine? Also, in each and every one of us, there's another person. And this other person is called what I call the sacred self, or the higher self. And this sacred or higher self really doesn't care how much you get. It doesn't care who you're better than. It doesn't care how much stuff you have. It's not interested in any of that. The problem is that we very seldom listen to it. We pay very little attention to it. This higher or sacred part of us wants only one thing. It wants us to be at peace. Whatever choice you make in every interaction you have, make the choice to be at peace, your sacred or higher self says. Whereas your ego says, oh, no. It's much more important to be right. If you want to have your higher or your sacred part of you ruling in your life, I suggest this to you. Practice being kind rather than right. When you have the choice, and you have the choice in your relationships with your spouse and your ex-spouse, with your parents, with your grandparents, with your in-laws, with strangers on the freeway, with flight attendants, with waiters, with whomever you interact, how can I suspend this part of me and allow the part of me that wants to be at peace? And doing that with your children, and doing that with a waiter. I mean, a waiter who comes to you and is like, hassled and frazzled and has been busy and all of that, and your ego says, wait a minute, I'm here and I'm important, and I have a right to be served, and I have a right to be served now. That's the ego part of you. If you can suspend that and say, you are a lucky man tonight. You got somebody who's dealing from his sacred self. You know what? You'll get served so fast and with such gratitude just for being kind, if you practice it. These are our greatest teachers, because anybody in your life who can push a button and send you into a frenzy is the person who's your greatest teacher. You know why? Because they teach you that you haven't mastered yourself at this moment. You don't know how to choose peace. And A Course in Miracles is a wonderful line that says, I can choose peace rather than this.
Like I said, the ego represents one of the two sides to yourself, and one thing I want you guys to think about is if you don't dominate your ego will dominate your life. Your ego is a fast track to end up nowhere, because you're okay with being stuck in the position you are, and you're okay with being exactly how everything is, because your ego tells you that you're fine. And deep down there's a part of you that always wants different. It always wants more, and we're afraid, because we're afraid we'll fail if we try something new. It's your ego telling you you don't want to go that route because you might not make it, or you don't want to go out there and try because you don't want to be embarrassed if you miss a shot or you miss an opportunity. The ego, it's the part of us that wants to hear I love you back when someone says I love you. Even though most of the time, if you're saying I love you to somebody, you really know that they already love you. So the idea of having to hear I love you back is really just your ego saying, like, why don't they love me? Like, of course you love me. You know what I do for you, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's your ego. Or, when people road rage, you're driving to work and, oh, my time's more important than yours. My job is more important than yours. My truck is bigger than yours. My car is faster than yours. Like, it's always a competition. And that's what the ego is. It's competition. But who's the self? Who are you? Who's the version of you that you are when you look in the mirror? Are you the version of yourself that the world wants you to be? Are you the version of yourself that wants to make your partner happy? Are you the version of yourself that's too scared to try and get a new job because you're afraid of the status that you're in now? Who are you exactly? When's the last time you asked yourself that question? Who am I? What do I stand for, and what is it I want out of life? If you don't know who you are, who's raising your kids? If you don't know who you are, who's your partner dating? How can you love you if you don't know you? Because you're so busy fitting this image that goes for the world. The image that makes you feel best liked or best wanted or most loved. But is that version really you? Is that who you really want to be? Or is that your ego creating this reality around you so that you feel better about yourself, or you feel better about choices that you make by giving them reasons. You know, in this time where we're at, with everything that's going on, I think asking who we are is probably one of the most important questions we have to ask ourselves. Who are we that we allow this world to be ran by the people it's ran by? Who are we that we can stand back and read the depraved things we read in those Epstein files and know that this is the people that are in charge of our country, of our children's education, of our money, our livelihoods? Why does the law not pertain to them and not us? Because we're afraid. Police officers are afraid to lose their job or their status by trying to arrest some of these people. I thought that's what we paid these people for, you know. But their ego keeps them in line. They toe the line how they're supposed to when they work for the system. Your ego can eat your life from the inside out. It'll keep you defending your old habits, old relationships, old situations, because it keeps you comfortable. Comfortable isn't always what's right. Sometimes you have to make yourself uncomfortable to grow. The reality is that we're all stuck in the situation we're in because we're afraid. We've let fear dictate our life. We're on the precipice of losing our First Amendment, which is our God-given right to express what we feel inside, regardless of how it makes somebody else feel. You know, that's dangerous. God gave us this beautiful world and these amazing, intricate bodies to know who we are, to find ourselves. And in order to find yourself, you have to get out of this box that they put you in. You have to turn off the programming and turn off everything you've been taught and everything you've been told. If it's not clear enough now, pretty much everything we've ever been told is a lie. And so you can't find yourself or know yourself when you don't even know where you come from. As human beings, that's one of the hardest questions we still have. Where do we come from? So many different stories, so many different lies, so many different religions, so many different everything. Nobody has a consistent answer on this. But one thing we do know is we all have two versions of ourselves. And the one that you feed the most is the one that's going to thrive. If you feed your ego, you're trapped in this material world where you're never going to be happy because you're always trying to acquire something new. Yeah, you get a fast car, but once you start going fast, you want to go faster. So then you have to get a faster car. Yeah, you got a nice big house, but then you see the guy down the street's got a bigger house or a better promotion or a better car. And then you want a bigger house or your partner wants a bigger house. When really, the house that you're living in did you just fine. But it's your ego telling you you have to have more. You have to do more. You have to acquire more. You don't have to acquire more of anything. That was the one lesson that he tried to teach us, that the material world isn't going to fulfill you. You can only be fulfilled with love and joy and peace. And those things are inherently blocked by your ego. You can't have peace if you're arguing with people. If you're willing to argue with someone who's starting to argue with you, that's because your ego can't let it go. Your ego can't let it win. The willingness to want to be right, even though you know you're wrong. And you'll still fight there and say that you know you're right about something, or fight on your opinion knowing that it's wrong because your ego won't let it go. Relationships are destroyed by that. Friendships because somebody's too prideful to back down. Families because they can't come together. Because you don't want to sit and talk about things. Or because someone wants to correct you on something and you feel like you don't need correction on that. It's okay to accept criticism. It's okay. You don't always see yourself. So sometimes somebody has to tell you something about yourself. It's okay to not like it. But to give somebody the power to change who you are and how your day is going, that's incredible. The ego has to be really strong in order for you to want to lower yourself so that somebody doesn't out yell you or whatever they're trying to do. Get you going. Show you that they're bigger than you. They're tougher than you. They're badder than you. You know, ego is probably man's worst enemy, to be honest. A lot of men fall off from each other because of their ego. As men, we can't accomplish things together because of our ego. Because we can't push aside our hate, or we can't push aside our differences because you're better than me, or my God's better than your God, or whatever the fucking case. There's always somebody better. There's always somebody stronger and faster and more beautiful who lives in a bigger house with a faster car. You can't let yourself be dominated by your ego, because your life will be dominated and you'll be stuck. Wherever you are, you'll be stuck. You have to let it go. You have to make choices for you. You have to hold yourself accountable. You have to look at whatever it is that you're going through or whatever it is that you're in and ask yourself, do I have to be here? Do I have to do this? Or is it your ego keeping you there? Are you afraid to go get a new job, like I said? Are you afraid to start a new career? Or afraid to leave a relationship? Or it doesn't matter because you're comfortable. There's no growth in comfort. Sometimes the only motivation to grow is to hit the lowest point in your life. I've been there. I've watched my ego die several times. It's one of the things they say in, I think, is it Buddhism? In order to find peace, you'll watch your ego die over and over again. You'll see versions of yourself die off all the time. They have to. Because you have to kill that ego in order to grow. It's a shell that protects you. And you have to break out of that shell, like a butterfly in a cocoon. You have to be willing to free yourself from not only the constraints of society and the reality that they put us in, but the hardest one that there is to overcome. Telling yourself that it's okay to take criticism. Telling yourself that I know I'm doing a good job. I don't need somebody to tell me I'm doing a good job. I don't need somebody to tell me that they love me because I love me. I don't need attention from anybody else because I'll give myself attention. Because myself deserves it. How many of you do stuff for yourself? Honestly. Take away the kids, take away the partners. What do you do for yourself? Most of us do nothing. Nothing at all. We don't do anything for ourselves. We're so busy giving 40 to 60 hours a week to jobs. We're giving them that. We're giving all this stuff to our kids, all this stuff to partners, all this stuff to family. But what are you giving to yourself? Do you give yourself 10 minutes to turn everything off and just breathe? Just breathe. That's it. Close your eyes. Turn it off and breathe. Actually breathe. Consciously breathe. You walk around all day long, taking breaths all day long, not even paying attention to the life force that's air. If you're not even paying attention to the simple things like how you breathe, how are you paying attention to how you live or how you think? Your thoughts shape your reality. And if your ego controls your thoughts, your reality is going to be stuck in the same loop that it's always in. You have to wake up and choose your thoughts like you choose your clothes. Because your thoughts directly affect your life. They directly affect your reality. You know, they just did a study that basically says the room behind you doesn't exist until you look at it. That's the reality that we live in. Nothing you see is real. It's only real because it's a construct of your mind. The ego is a construct of your consciousness. Because you're consciously aware. Your ego was created the same time your conscious awareness was created. To protect you. But we live in a world that helps us get lost in our ego. Lost in the material world. Lost in this idea that I can't take criticism from somebody, or if somebody's giving me criticism or telling me something that they don't like me, or they're being rude, or they're being assholes. No. Chances are is they probably just want to help you. They probably don't like seeing you stuck in the same pattern or the same mood or the same situation. You know, we talked about energy. Have you checked your energy? Where you spend it? Do you give yourself balance? Like I said, what have you done for you? Anybody who's listening to this, take 10 minutes. Even if you have to run to a bathroom and take 10 minutes. Find a quiet spot. Find a quiet, dark spot. And just sit there with yourself. Don't be afraid of your thoughts. Don't be afraid of the demons. Don't be afraid. Let yourself find you. Breathe. Appreciate life. Appreciate the love you have around you. Don't push people away because something's not going the way that you want it to be. Nothing's ever going to be perfect in this world. Your ego will create this environment where you think something has to be perfect. But that ego was most likely molded by what it saw in society. So you set standards based on that, and then you mix that with how your ego makes you comfortable, and you realize why people are where they are. You know, you can't accept the reality, but you don't want to do anything to change it because you're comfortable. But you have to find that power inside of you to do the uncomfortable things. You have to find the power inside you to tell the people around you that you need 10 minutes. It's okay to do something for yourself. It's okay to take 10 minutes off. It's okay to take an hour off. Go to the gym. Go for a ride. Go for a walk. Do something with your kids. Because I promise you, your kids, they don't have much of an ego yet. Not until they get older. But when they're little, they don't have an ego. They don't think they're better than anybody. Especially better than you. They're our life force. They're the reasons why we do what we do, which is the reasons why you have to know you. Because you want the best version of you to raise your kids. Because if you're not raising your kids, then who is? The school system, the government, their friends, society. But what about you? You know, we have to push ourselves. We have to do better. We have to question more. Our kids have a future. And we need to make sure that future is better than our present. We get lost in comfort. We get lost in peace, which is good because you need peace. But most people aren't even at peace because they're at war with themselves, at war with their choices, at war with their situations. When you have the ability to change all that, you have the ability to create your own entire reality. From the people that you let in your life to the energy that you let determine your life. You have those choices. It's not your ego, it's you. It's yourself that has to consciously make that choice. You have to consciously tell yourself, I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. Because your ego is going to tell you that you were great yesterday. And you might have been. But the idea is to be better every day. To learn something new every day. To be a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. Every new day is the first day in the rest of your life. You can choose to have a brand new life tomorrow by setting your mind and your energy to the space it needs to be in order to accomplish that. No matter what it is you want to accomplish, you're able to do whatever you want to do. Because you have that power. You have the power to step on your ego and say, I can do more. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to make mistakes. Your ego puts you in this perfect little bubble where you're afraid to make mistakes or you're afraid to fail or try something new. Like I said, if you take anything from this episode, it's to take 10 minutes for you. Breathe. Take some deep breaths. Thank whatever creator you believe in that you woke up today. Because there's thousands of people that didn't get that blessing. Next time you have a confrontation or you have a disagreement, don't be afraid to walk away. Your ego doesn't need to put you in a situation that you're going to regret later on. That's how most things happen. You start yelling, you start arguing, instead of somebody checking their ego at the door and saying, you know what, I'm not going to do this with you. Whether it's a partner or a child or just somebody on the street. Somebody who comes into your work and has a fucking attitude like everybody does. Because their time is so important, or they're running late, or they're doing that, or because they're just eating poisonous fucking food and not sleeping properly, so they're fucking miserable. You know, that's another thing to protect your energy, is to watch your food. You know, we eat all this processed food, and your body is supposed to process food. So if you're eating processed food, how does your body process food? If it's eating food that's already been processed, it doesn't. Not only that, it doesn't even fill you up because you're hungry shortly thereafter. And then you go to sleep and your body is trying to process all this already processed food. So your body's not even sleeping. Just because your mind's resting, your body is working overtime trying to process all this poison you've shoved into it 3 times in the day. And people wonder why they wake up and they're still tired. Or why they're fucking miserable. Because their body is completely exhausted. Not only is it working 60 hours a week physically and then 40 hours a week at home or doing all this stuff around, on top of that, it's trying to process shit that's already been processed. So your body doesn't even know how to break it down. It doesn't even know how to use it as energy. It doesn't even know how to use it as nutrients. You don't feel alive because you're eating so much shit that's dead. If you are what you eat, do not be fast, quick, and easy. That's why food tastes better when someone you love makes it, or someone that loves you makes it. There's no food like mom's cooking, right? Because she loves you. And that love is energy that goes into the food. Because life is energy. You are energy. Energy cannot be contained. So why do we let this world contain us? Why do you let your thoughts of failing contain you? Why do you let the idea of making mistakes hold you back? If you're afraid to try something new because you'll fail, you're never going to try something new. We have to overcome ourselves. But first, you have to find out who that self is. Because most of us honestly don't know. Most of us don't do the legwork. We go on and on about our lives day by day and then wonder why we feel the way that we do sometimes. Because never do we stop and ask ourselves, what are we doing? Who am I? Who do I want to be? Is this the version of myself that I want to be? Is this the version of myself that I feel successful in? Is this the version of myself that I can be happy with? Can you look in the mirror and be happy with you? Can you look in the mirror and hold yourself accountable if you're not somewhere you want to be, or if you're not as good as you want to be at something? Can you say, I'm not because I didn't? And then turn around and say, I can because I am. Because you are powerful. You are amazing. You're the most intricate creation in the known universe. The chances of you being alive right now in this moment, listening to this podcast, is the equivalent to being able to win the Mega Millions 1,000 times in a row. That's how small the odds of you actually being here and consciously absorbing this information right now. It might even be more than that. It might even be like 10,000 times in a row winning the Mega Millions. And the Mega Millions is already a 1 in 117 million chance to win anyways. So that's how rare and special it is for you to be here right now. For you to consciously have the mind to hear the words coming from me. Treat that like a present, like a gift. That's why the time we have right now is called the present. You can't live your life based on your past. It's already over. It's already over. Don't give yourself anxiety about the future because it hasn't happened yet. And it might not happen. So enjoy the gift that God gives you in the present. That's why this moment is called a present, because it's a gift. Be in the now, right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, right now. In this moment, time is a tool. It's not here to control you. Your ego is here to help you, not here to guide you. Your ego is here to protect you. But sometimes you can be overprotected. You guys are amazing. You're beautiful creatures. Like I said, you're the most intricate creatures in the known universe to us. Your body heals itself. But first, heal you. Heal those broken parts of you. Heal those parts of you that are missing. Or if you had a bad past, or you had bad parents, or anything like that, you have to heal that part of you. They're not going to come and heal you. The past isn't going to return to make you change what had happened. But you can make it so it doesn't steal your future. Absolutely. And you can also make it so it doesn't ruin your presence. Your present time right now, your gift. Enjoy it. Live, laugh, love. Don't let your ego ruin maybe something that was the best thing that could have ever happened to you. But you let your ego ruin it. Whether that's a friendship, a relationship, a job. Don't let your ego fool you. And don't let your ego keep you stuck in a life you don't want to be in. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the likes, the shares, the comments. Please, I need 15 more people to subscribe so I can go live on YouTube. I'd appreciate if you guys could get the word out. Thanks for your time. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.
If you got your health, you got a shot in this world. Because all we got is today. We don't know what the future holds Fuck the past. We don't know we could get sick. We don't know what could happen to us. But all we know is we got today. So start smiling, start being more kind, start taking more risks, start not giving a fuck about what people think, and do it for you, man, because all we got is this moment. You gotta realize that. You can't just lollygag through life and realize that. We gotta realize all we got is today. So we gotta go make today the best day. Fuck all that bullshit, man. Go do it for you. Go do what makes you happy, because we don't know what the future holds. All we got is this moment, so go make this moment great.